The bee hummingbird. The male bee hummingbird has a glossy, reddish-pink head, throat, and chin. He also has an iridescent gorget, which is the throat patch, elongated lateral plumes. His upper plumage is bluish-white. The rest of the under plumage is mostly grayish-white. His colorful plumage can only be seen during the breeding season. The non-breeding male looks much like the female, except the outer tail feathers are black, tipped rather than white. They can also have blue spots on the wingtips. The female bee hummingbird is much bigger than the male. Her upper plumage is bluish-green. The rest of the underside is mostly grayish-white. Her outer tail feathers have white tips or spots. The bee hummingbirds are the smallest known living birds in the world. It is a little bigger than a bee. There are also swift flyers, like all other hummingbirds, can hover over one spot like a helicopter. The bee hummingbird beats its wings up to 80 times a second and stays still for only a short period of time. Feeding. They mainly feed on nectar and an occasional insect or spider. Does this with its pointed bill by moving its tongue rapidly in and out of its mouth. Looks at the nectar up to 13 times a second. While it is feeding, the bird picks up pollen on its bill and head. As it flies from flower to flower, it transfers the pollen, so it really plays an important role in plant reproduction. They spend most of the day feeding because they have to eat half their total body mass and drink 8 times their total body mass in water each day to support their extremely high metabolism. They eat spiders and insects for an important source of protein, but mostly during the breeding season for proper development of their young. They can capture up to 2,000 insects a day and can visit up to 15,000 flowers on an average day. Their habitat. They are endemic to dense forest and woodland edges on the main island of Cuba. They prefer areas with their favorite flower, Solandra grandiflora, a vine with large ornamental flowers. They mostly are non-migratory. The only time they will move is for different flowering seasons. Most males establish feeding territories where they aggressively chase away other males and large insects such as bumblebees and hawk moths. Breeding. The breeding season usually begins at the end of the wet season and the start of the dry season. Males will form leeks, which are groups of singing males that participate in competitive courtship rituals. They will perform various songs to attract females. Females will visit several leeks throughout the day and choose a mate based on his performance. Nesting. The female bee hummingbird builds a cup-shaped nest with bits of cobwebs, bark, and lynch. It is only about 1 inch in diameter. She lines the nest with soft plant fibers and only lays up to 2 white eggs, which are no bigger than peas. She alone incubates, raises, and feeds the young. The chicks are left alone after about 12 days, and then they leave after about 18 to 38 days. The young will start breeding as soon as they reach 1 year old. Calls. They make a variety of simple, high-pitched songs, each only lasting a second. Their vocal sounds include squeaking and twittering. The bee hummingbird was formerly common and widespread, but is now rare and localized. The main threat to its existence is habitat loss. Large parts of Cuba's vegetation has been converted for agricultural uses. As a result, its numbers have been declining, and these birds are now near threatened.